Hi guys, so welcome to my YouTube channel. So today this is the look that I created for you. I wanted to use one of my Pat McGrath palettes that had like the really beautiful blue shades in it. So I sort of wanted to work a look around that. So I used the really beautiful blue in that palette on the waterline, and I used some of the glitters from that palette on the eye as well. And I really love how it turned out. I think this would be a beautiful look to wear to maybe like a New Year's party or a holiday party, since it is pretty glam and you have that like really beautiful focus on the eyes. So yeah, if you want to see how I created this look, then just keep watching. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is take these Josie Maran Argan Moonstone drops. So this is basically just her Argan Oil light formula, I believe, that has like a really beautiful sort of iridescence in it. So I'm just going to shake this up and then apply this basically all over the face. So I'm really going to focus this like on sort of the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose where I'm really dry. And then I'm just going to sort of pat it in once I've gotten it everywhere. So the next thing I'm going to do is take this YSL Touche Eclat Blur Primer, and I'm just going to take one pump of this, and I'm just going to focus this in the center of the face just to really fill in any sort of larger pores or fine lines or anything like that. Alright, so since the sort of primers I used are both like oil based, I'm going to be going in with my Josie Maran Vibrancy foundation. This is one of my favorite foundations of all time. I absolutely love it. It's interesting because I feel like I never ever use this on my channel, but I know that this is not a lot of people's cup of tea because it's an oil based foundation. If you have dry skin and you're looking for something that's like very nourishing, or you use oils in your skincare, you might really like this. I really love it. It's very full coverage, but it's so like nourishing on the skin because of the argan oil that's in it. So I'm just going to shake it up really well, and then I will pump one pump on the back of my beauty blender and then start applying that. Alright, so now that the foundation is on, I'm going to go in with concealer. I have the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light Neutral and Light Sand. So I'm going to take mostly Light Neutral and then put a little bit of Light Sand just to make sure that it's nice and bright. Okay, so to set my under eyes first, I'm going to take this Tarte Park Avenue Princess palette, and I'm going to take the shade Enhance, which is the more yellow shade right here, and I'm just going to take some of that on a e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm just going to use that underneath my eyes. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of the Halo shade, and I'm just going to take some of that in the center of the forehead and on the chin as well. Then I have this Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade Fair Light, and I'm just going to take a really small amount of that on the very tip of my beauty blender, and I'm going to press that into the two spots that I concealed on my face, so right here and then right there on my forehead. So essentially I'm just going to bake those two areas, like the two areas where I have spots. If you do that on areas where you sort of have a spot that you really want to make sure that the makeup stays on in that area, if you do sort of leave powder thickly on those areas and let it really sit there, it will help the powder sort of stay in that area and be a little bit more long lasting. So I'm just going to do that in those areas, and then before I set the rest of my face, I will just do my brows off camera really quick. Okay, so my brows are obviously done, and then I also primed and set my eyes as well. So I'm just going to take this e.l.f. blush brush again, and I'm going to take a little bit of this pressed powder that is in the Natasha Denona Sculpt and Glow palette, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that and wipe away the sort of areas that I was baking, and I'm going to do that really gently. Then with this big fluffy brush from Real Techniques, I'm going to take a little bit of this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Luminous Light, and I'm just going to set the rest of my face with this really gently. And I'm just sort of using like pressing motions as opposed to like swiping motions on the face, just so I don't disturb any of the foundation, because since it is like all oil based products that are underneath, I don't want to sort of swipe and move them around and get them like streaky or anything, because they do have a lot more movement since they're like all oil based. So I am just using really light sort of tapping motions just to sort of press that powder into my skin. Okay, so to bronze up the skin, I'm going to be taking this Milani Baked Bronzer in the shade Dolce, and I have a Real Techniques blush brush. So I'm just going to use a bunch of that and really sort of bronze up the skin. Okay, and then to contour, I'm going to take this Park Avenue Princess palette again, and I'm going to take the Real Techniques contour brush, and I think I'm going to take some of the cooler shade, which is called Carrot here, and I will use that color to contour my cheekbones with. Okay, so I think I might contour my nose, but I'll just do that off camera because I get like really close to the mirror to do it. But for blush, I'm going to use Nars Madly. It's just a really beautiful sort of like neutral beige kind of a color. It's a really good blush because it goes with like any look that you do. So I am going to use a little bit of that on a Sonia Kashuk blush brush. And I'm going to use it a little bit further back on the cheek. And then for highlight, I'm just going to take out of this Sculpt and Glow palette that I've been using, I'm going to take a little bit of this cream shade on my finger, and I'm going to use that first, and then I will add the powder highlight on top. And this cream highlight in this palette is really nice because, as you can see, I can really nicely like tap it above powders that I'm using, and it doesn't disturb the powder in any way. It doesn't sort of get sort of chunky or blotchy. It doesn't break the powder up. It's just a really nice cream to use on top of powders. Okay, so I just really lightly contoured my nose off camera using the same Carrot shade from the Tarte Park Avenue Princess Chisel palette. So now I have a Wet n Wild highlighting brush, and I'm just going to take the powder highlight from this Natasha Denona kit, and I will add that everywhere on my face. Okay, so I have the face makeup all done now, so I am going to set it using the Urban Decay All Nighter and the Morphe Continuous Mist setting spray. So I always use both of these sort of in conjunction. I use this in the center of my face and then this more on the outer edge. So I'm just going to use this first. Okay, so now that that setting spray has totally sunk in, I will zoom you in to do the eyes. Okay, so for the palette, I wanted to go in mostly with this Pat McGrath palette that had all these beautiful blues and cool tones, but I wanted something a little warmer just through the crease of the eye. So I'm initially going to take this Tarte Toasted palette. So to start off with, I'm going to take this shade Cashmere right here, which is just a sort of peachy toned matte transition color. It's not too deep. And I'm just going to take that really high up through the crease. And when I get to this outer edge of the eye, I'm really just fanning it out towards the tail of the brow with what's sort of left on the brush, and then I'm just going back in and blending. So what I think I'm going to do is also take a little bit of the shade Latte right here, but I think I'm going to take that on a MAC 217, and I'm just going to take that a little lower in the crease just to deepen it up ever so slightly. Okay, so I think what I might do now actually is take this really small blending brush from Sigma. This is the E36, and I think I might go in with a little bit of this Fireside shade, which is like a deeper matte purple, and I'm gonna sort of create like a triangle shape on the outer edge of my eye. And I'm sort of following that V shape that I created, and I'm sort of pressing the shadow in and then really lightly using circular motions to sort of blend it out. So what I'm going to do now is take that 217 and then really lightly make sure that all those colors are blended in together nicely. Okay, so as you can see, I did finish my other eye off camera because I kind of wanted to see where I was going with this look because I wasn't totally sure. So I just sort of played around and figured out what I wanted to do. So the last thing I'm going to do from this Tarte palette right now is take this matte sort of bone shade, which is S'more, and I'm going to take that on a flat shader brush, and I'm just going to sort of set down this center portion of my eye. This ended up being like a little bit unnecessary in the end, but I just initially wanted to do this when I was sort of figuring out what I wanted to do. So now what I'm going to do is just take my finger and I'm going to take this really beautiful gold shade from this Pat McGrath palette, and I'm just gonna place that all over the sort of like mobile eyelid on the front. And then what I ended up doing is taking this shade right here, which is this beautiful sort of like bluish, reddish, duochrome type of a color. The base color is actually quite sheer, but you do get a lot of that beautiful glitter. So I just took a little bit of that on my finger, and I'm just placing that all over the lid where I sort of added that gold shade, and I'm taking that quite high up. I'm not really being too precise with it. I just want to sort of lay that everywhere, and you sort of see that beautiful amount of like light sort of bluish sparkle that's in it. So it's really, really pretty, and it does, even over that sort of metallic base, it really does sort of transform the eye color. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm gonna go in with this Sigma E45 and take this shade Latte from the Toasted palette, and I'm gonna just take that really messily underneath my lower lash line. Then I'm going to take this Urban Decay eye pencil in the shade Mainline. So this is a really beautiful sort of deep teal, and I'm going to put that on my waterline as well as my tight line. So now with this pencil brush by Sigma, this is an E30. I'm going to take this really beautiful deep blue. It's just like a sort of metallic, sparkly, very deep royal blue. And I'm going to take a bunch of that on this pencil brush. And then I am going to take that all over my lash line, but like right on the area where the actual lashes are. So you can see how pigmented that is. I just had to go over that area once, and it just makes it so beautiful and blue and sort of metallic looking. So I'm just going to take a little bit more on the pencil brush, and I actually took a little bit of that on the upper lash line as well. Actually, what I did first, I forgot. I just took a little bit of the Urban Decay pencil actually on the upper lash line as well. Just really lightly, like right on the actual lash line. And then I went over it with the blue shade from the Pat McGrath palette. And then I just really lightly went up and sort of mimicked that wing shape with the blue. Okay, and then for the inner corner, I took a little bit of this white shade here. It's like a metallic sort of warm ivory shade, and I did take a little bit of that in the inner corner of the eye, and then I sort of went in after with this gold shade because I wanted it to be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to take that and really sort of pack that in the inner corner. Okay, so that is all the eyeshadow actually done. I'm just going to zoom you back out to do the lips really quick. Okay, so I just put my false lash on the other side. I used the Ardell 120s. So now I just have the lips to do, and then I'm totally finished. So the first thing I'm going to take is this Milani Color Statement Lip Liner in the shade 04, and I'm just going to line my lips with that. Okay, so I finished lining my lips. I did fill in the sort of sides of my lips a little bit to make it a little bit deeper in those areas. So now I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in the shade Nude Kate, and I'm just going to put this all over the lips. So I think just to put a little bit more of a glossy finish, I'm going to take this Dior Lip Maximizer in the shade 006. I think it's called Beige Sunrise. It's like the nude colored one. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that in the center of the lip. Okay, so there it is with the lip on and the look totally finished. I really like the way that it turned out. This is a lot different than I sort of thought in my mind of what I was gonna do, but I really like the way it turned out. I think this would be like a really pretty sort of holiday look. Like maybe you could wear this during New Year's or something like that, because you have that really pretty pop of blue and like a little bit of glitter. So it's not too much, but it still like looks like you're making a statement, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and have a great day or night wherever you are. Bye!